Jay, good evening. Welcome. Please introduce yourself to the BIS Connect parents.
Hi, my name is Jay Decosta. I'm the father of two kids, Ayan Decosta, Tarana Decosta. Ayan is in grade 12, Tarana is in grade 8. We've been with BIS since 2014-15. And what I do, we currently run and manage about 80 schools. We also have a large curriculum team. We have a large content development team, and we provide curriculum to about 800 schools.
Okay, fantastic.
But they're all they're all CBS. Just to clarify, since there's the conflict of interest issue, they're all CBSE or ICSE schools or state board schools. We have, as of now, nothing to do with IB or IGCSE schools. We don't intend to enter that market. So, like, if anybody thinks I want to get on the board because I want to buy the school, acquire the school, take over the school, there is like zero interest from my side.
All right. Thank you so much for clarifying that. Do tell us something about your childhood.
So, born and brought up in Bangalore, Indiranagar. Always loved Bangalore. I've then been around the country, been to Bombay, been to Hyderabad, been to like Bastar, Calcutta, done sales, done marketing. And then I wanted to come back to Bangalore.
Right.
So in Bangalore, I went to Frank Anthony. I loved the school. Then I went to St. Joseph's Commerce College after that. And then I then became a CA in Bangalore. I went to IIM Bangalore because it was in Bangalore. And then, that's my whole life is Bangalore. I love Bangalore.
Agreed. Talking to a fellow Bangalore.
I hate the traffic, but apart from that, I love it.
Agreed. What do you do professionally? I mean, you mentioned a little bit, but do talk about what you do professionally. What inspired you to pursue your current profession?
So professionally, what we do is we manage schools. There are a lot of schools. We realize that in the CBSE, ICSE space, there are a lot of schools which are not well managed. Mm-hmm. Therefore, we thought we could get into that scheme of things. We started in 2015 with one school. We had, at that point in time when we started, we managed about 100 kids. We currently manage about 100 schools and about 67,000 students across our schools.
Wow.
The business, the whole idea is how do we convert schools from being inefficiently run to more efficiently run, and by more efficiently run in terms of, you're able to track the curriculum, you're able to interact with the school much more. The curriculum is more understandable to a parent. What happens in the school is more understandable. And we do this through a mix of technology, content. We have a large content team across Bangalore, Bombay, and Calcutta. We have a large tech team in Bangalore. And then we have a sales team which goes out and sells. So it's a school. It's like a school management business, but we use a lot of tech to enable it to happen. It's like more complicated to explain, but basically we manage the schools.
It's quite fascinating what you do. Perhaps by the end of this, we'll understand it a little better. But hopefully, yeah. So you didn't tell me what got you into this in the first place. What got you to pursue it?
So I always thought that, and like we used to live in Bombay, and in Bombay, there's a school called Cathedrals where you have to register your kid when he's 6 months old for admission when he's 5 years old. Okay. And there's another school, I forget the name. It gives 200 application forms in a year, and it gives it at one point of time from like 9 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock in the morning or something. And I went there at like 6 a.m. thinking I'll come first and I can get the application form very easily. And there were people who were like sleeping on beds from the night before. And I was like 500. No, this was in Bombay.
Uh-huh.
I forgot. Some St. Mary, St. Peter's, one of those names. And I was thinking, like, God, there must be a better way to have schooling. And, we are all average middle class guys. So I thought that there must be a better way to manage this whole thing. There must be a more efficient way to do it. There must be a more parent friendly way to do this. okay, and it can't be run. It can't be run this inefficiently. So that's why I got into this. I got into the education business. A couple of things, obviously, it's not just one thing that helps you grow things. Some things happen together. You try something, you fail, you try it better. So we've gone through all of that,
Mm.
and then finally come up with this model which makes sense. So not everything we've done is successful. A lot has been unsuccessful, but the current model is very successful.
That's quite interesting what you said, and fascinating that you got into this because of actually having to stand in line and think this can't be the right way to do it. Because obviously that means there are very few institutions that are doing a good job, while everywhere you turn there's a school of some kind or the other. So that's quite amazing that you actually got into fixing the problem when you saw it there.
You can either, like, I think in India there are so many problems to fix that,
Mm.
like, I think the opportunity is always there. You can either be, my view is always, you can either stand at the side and keep criticizing and say what shit is happening, or you can say, chalo, let me do something about it.
Mm.
So, that's one of the reasons I always thought the school was running well. Why do I need to interfere? Like, I feel I have some knowledge, some little bit I can contribute to the school. But till now, when I see this mess, I realize, okay, maybe there is something I can set something right, or set some process right, or set some system right. Obviously, you don't want to fundamentally change anything, but there is something going wrong, which is why we've had two crises. Now we need to solve some of them.
Absolutely.
Okay, and that is my thinking. That's my thinking why I want to stand also.
Fantastic. And there is a lot that needs to be fixed. I think one of the things that has surprised me, I was telling someone this, I said, I don't know how we've managed to survive 50 years if this is the kind of processes we have in place. It's just happened on a wing and a prayer, I guess. And I think now is a good time as any to kind of get on top of that situation. Moving on to
Also, I think the
sorry, go
world has
ahead.
changed a lot. Yeah, the world has changed a lot, even in the last 10, 15 years.
Hmm.
So I think, but like, laws are, laws never catch up, right? Like, you write something at some point of time, if you're not nimble enough, you'll have problems. So I think it needs an upgrade.
Agreed. Agreed. Moving on to the next one. What drives you through tough times?
I think this is like a cliched answer, but like, yeah, I'm very, very goal oriented.
Hmm.
Like, I need to get this done, and I will do whatever it takes to get this done. And so far that's what I think. As a person, I'm very perseverant. So
Okay.
if I have to get it done, I will get it done.
Yeah, that's a simple but quite
Yeah, I think perseverance is the best answer.
straightforward. Yeah, I think it's a straightforward way of doing it. I think if all of us could get it done, persevere, I think a lot more would happen. If moods choose music, what moods drive your music choices?
It depends. Basically, I listen largely to English and classical. When I work, I prefer classical
Mm.
because I don't want to. Like, I'm highly distractible. I don't want to be distracted. Otherwise, like, I don't like something too loud. So I don't like rock. I don't like popish indie.
Mm.
That's my kind of music. I like to explore. It's not like I have some favorite type music. You put it on YouTube, put it on Spotify, and see what comes.
Interesting. What do you think is unique about the cultural fabric of Bangalore?
I think Bangalore, obviously, the weather is great.
Mm.
Okay, start with that. The other thing is that, whenever where I grew up, where I went, there was always a mixing of, like, language, culture, religion, everything. That mixing, I felt, was very, very good. There's also a lot of acceptance. Like,
Mm.
you have across religions, across castes, across social strata also. So, like, play cricket with somebody who's, like, very, very poor, and you go out with someone who's very, very rich, and you go for a trek with someone else, and it's like completely different. It's a complete mix. Okay, you get, like, every language that we could. So I love that about Bangalore.
But
I
is
like that about Bombay also.
Yeah, I was just going to say, isn't that similar? Don't you have a similar vibe with Bombay too?
Yeah, I think Bombay had a similar vibe. Bombay doesn't have the weather,
Mm.
and Bombay is much more crowded. Bombay is much more competitive. There's less time to do stuff. Bangalore is a little more laid back to that. Yeah.
Mm.
I've lived in Hyderabad and Calcutta, where I didn't find that vibe.
Sure. If
So yeah, that's what I love about Mango.
Yeah, so like, so much to feel good about. If you would
Yep.
have a conversation with any historical figure, who would it be and why?
Good question. Like I love history. I like a lot about history, but lots of. I would want to answer like lots of people. Yeah. Like I'm trying to think. Like, I'm a big World War buff.
Mm-hmm.
I read lots about, especially the Second World War, less about the First World War. So ideally, it would be like someone like maybe like Hitler, Churchill, like just to understand what they did, why they did what they did. Okay, I
Hitler's an
mean,
odd choice.
just to understand like how could you do such a thing? Like what was going through your mind?
What
Okay,
could
what were you thinking? What could have? Yeah, like what were you thinking? You know? I mean, he like he made a whole bunch of mistakes. He did a whole bunch of horrible things. But like what were you thinking? Okay, and, like it's something which no one has solved. No one knows.
Yeah,
He wrote very little. There's not a single or very few orders signed by him. So it's an odd choice because I've read a lot about him. So I've tried to understand. You want to know the person behind what you read.
true. No, and he
Ah.
did spin history around, so he was very
Yeah,
pivotal
yeah, yeah.
in an awful way. But yes, so I was just saying it's an odd choice though, but an interesting
It
choice.
is an odd.
Yeah, it's an
It is
interesting
an odd.
choice.
It's more to understand. Like I'm very curious about why people make particular decisions the way they
Mm,
make. I'm curious about why I also make decisions. But
mm,
you know, like these were big decisions which affected like millions and millions of people.
sure.
So like, how did you take those decisions? How did you think about it? Like, didn't you weigh the pros and cons? Didn't you think through it? So
Yeah,
yeah, that's
interesting, interesting. What have you learned from success, and what have you learned from failure?
neither is permanent.
Hmm.
You just because like you're successful now doesn't mean you'll be successful forever. Just because you're a failure now, you're not failure forever.
Hmm.
Both are like other sides of the same coin. You just go through life and you'll have both. There is nothing called permanent success or permanent failure. So you just have to go through it.
It's just a phase. It's just a process.
Everything is a phase. Do not get over happy about success and do not feel too bad about failure.
Right.
Tomorrow is another day.
But do you think it's as easy to live through it? I mean, it's easy to say it, but is it that simple?
I don't think it's that simple. I don't think it's that simple. Easier also. Initially, it's very difficult.
Hmm.
Okay, but over time you realize that everything is a phase. And maybe it's an age thing. Maybe it's a up and down thing for me.
Hmm.
But it is nothing. I don't feel anything is permanent. Okay, I feel like whatever. You have to. Tomorrow is another day. You have to do. You have to get up. You have to work. You have to do stuff. Um, you can't just sit around doing nothing.
Terrific.
So yeah, that's my point of view.
What about BIS is inspirational?
I didn't understand that.
What about BIS is inspirational, especially in your case because you run so many schools? Do you think anything about BIS is inspirational? If yes, what is?
Yeah. I think what is inspirational? Okay, I got the question. So I think the culture is obviously one of the greatest things. When we first went to BIS, we looked around, and I thought the way the kids were interacting with each other, the way they communicated. There was, I think, Francesca who took us around. All of it. They showed us the classrooms. The classrooms were small. The kids. I mean, the kids seemed really happy.
Hmm.
Okay, and that was what I thought is a good uh, benchmark to have. That I mean that's the great thing about BIS. I feel at the end of the day, the kids are really happy. Teachers seem happy. So that's also why we chose BIS.
Hmm. What life-changing event in the past has shaped your today?
Many actually, many. I'm trying to think of one. Um, I think the one I mentioned earlier, which is having to apply for all these schools. I'm having to go through that process and seeing how shitty that process is. I
Hmm.
think if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be doing what I am doing currently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Strange.
So that is one thing. I think meeting my wife. I think that's the greatest thing that has happened.
Right. What is the one thing about you that most people don't know, but you wish they did?
That I'm not here to buy BIS.
No, I'm.
That I have no intention of doing anything like that. That I don't know. I don't know who Sai is. I've heard of Yadav. I have never met Yadav. I have spoken to Yadav. I mean, the first time I spoke to Yadav is when for COVID. I think my schools had opened and BIS hadn't opened, and I thought it was a stupid decision. And I said, like, why aren't you opening schools? Before that, I never heard of him. And I mean, I know his kid. I think is in my son's class, but like that's the last thing we knew. And then all of it in this last 60 days came up. That's when all of this came up.
Hmm.
But yeah, hopefully, hopefully that clarifies some of the stuff that's going on.
No, but what about you that apart from the BIS situation, what don't people know about you that you wish they knew about you? Just as a general thing.
Like that. That I think I'm very couple of things. One is I think I'm very disciplined. I like I like to like go to sleep at 10, get up at 5. Very disciplined on lots of
Wow.
things. I think I have a good sense of humor.
Hmm.
It doesn't come out in a lot of ways, but it comes out in some ways. May not be good, maybe wacky. Yeah, I think that enough for
Humor
now.
is humor. Humor is good.
Humor is good. Yeah, I agree. Humor is good. At least it lightens the situation.
Yeah, it does. And I think perhaps maybe it's a phase again that everything is getting more serious perhaps and a little slower and whatever. So humor at this stage and phase of life I think is always extremely welcome. What are your thoughts on the concept of women seeking permission, whether in personal or professional contexts? Please explain.
I don't think they should seek any permission anytime. Why should they need permission? Like,
Because we live in a country where for the most part, everything that a woman does needs permission. For instance, what you wear, how you dress, do you study,
I don't
not
agree with
study?
I don't agree with any of that. I think all of that is bullshit. Women are like women are equal to men. They can do whatever they want. I mean, I don't think this question should even be asked.
Hmm.
I think it's a bad question.
You think it's a bad question?
Yeah, I don't think.
Do you think that the rural women have the same, the same rights and freedoms and agency?
No, I don't. I'm not saying they do. It's not that I'm not conversant of what's happening in rural India or urban India. I just feel for this, in the context of this board conversation, it has no place.
We're just trying to get to know people. So we're just trying to, from that perspective.
I have a very, I feel women, I've like, I think women should do whatever they want. They should wear whatever they want, go wherever they want, they should go whenever they want. I don't think there should be any restriction on any of it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
completely agree.
I completely agree. Like, I'm surprised with the question. So I'm a very, as far as women's rights are concerned, I'm very liberal. I think they should be scientists, they should be doctors, they should be everything under the sun. They should do whatever they want to do.
Right. I think the one of the reasons we included this question is because certain events had happened and certain comments were made. And so we were kind of trying to figure out, what do people actually think? I mean, is this a real thing or is it a figment of our imagination that women are seen as being equal? Even in our context, but certainly in a more rural kind of context.
No, I think the reality is not what I'm saying. I think the reality is that women are controlled, and there is a lot of pressure on them. When I've seen it happen a lot of times. Okay? That is not my personal view. Okay, my personal view is women should be free to do whatever they want, go out with whoever they want, do whatever they want. Okay, choose whatever career they want, choose whichever man they want, like everything. I'm a very, very big liberal on these issues.
Excellent. So we absolutely agree on that one. What is the best piece of advice that you've ever received, and how has it influenced you?
So I think I read this. I read this I mean, I heard this in a podcast where somebody said, "Strong views loosely held." Okay,
Mm,
and this was a couple of years ago, and it then made me realize that in some cases our views are so strong that we stick onto them for pure ego,
mm,
and even in the face of data or information being different, we still hold on to the view. Okay. But I've come to the conclusion that I have a strong view. I have a strong view in many things. But in the face of information changing, in the face of new data coming in, you should be able to change your view. And if you if you stick on to the view, then that's stupidity on your part.
yeah.
So yeah. So I think that's one thing also, like, fight the issue, not the person.
Mm,
So, and that happens very often in any situation where there are more than 5, 6 people,
mm.
which is what is the issue we are going at, and not what is the person we're going at.
I
Okay.
think,
So
sorry, go ahead.
no, no. So in the BIS case, for me, the issue is the school man. Issue is there is all this. Frankly, I mean, there's all this OB1, OB2, OB3, OB5, OB9, IB1, IB2. It's like I don't even know half these people. I think the issue is that the BIS system is slightly broken. It needs fixing. It needs better guardrails. Let us solve that issue for our kids, not get into all of this. Who said what, and like you get 500 messages, and you how can you keep track of all of it? Like, nobody knows the right issue.
Mm.
I mean, who's right, who's wrong. I mean, I'm also very. I think like God, the objective is to get the school back on track. Let's get that objective done.
Right. I think I really liked what you said, that strong opinions loosely held. I think it pretty much sums up the last 100 days of WhatsApp. I think if
Yeah, yeah.
that could have been only the
I
philosophy
never
we
thought about that.
followed,
Yeah.
if I don't think we would have had even one, I think 1/10 of the messages that have been floating around. So that's very apropos considering where we are at this very moment
Yeah,
in
exactly.
time.
I never thought about it that way, but yeah. I mean, I try to use it actually more at work and more at taking decisions where you don't get stuck in a, you can say
Corrupt.
you should have A, B, C, D, but like, and don't go on. Like in new information, A, B, C, D doesn't work. A, B, C, D
Hmm.
is not the right decision. Change the decision. It's nothing is
Hmm.
written in stone.
Very, very, very apt at this point in time. Is there a particular book or movie that has had a significant impact on your life?
Uh, I think The Matrix.
Hmm.
Um, Yeah, I mean, other word is like in the movies, like I mean, maybe because I like science fiction, Matrix, Inception,
Hmm.
um, this whole this whole red pill, blue pill concept. That at various points of time you have to take a decision,
Hmm.
okay, and don't delay that decision because you're scared. Take the decision and move on.
Hmm.
So I think yeah, that was the difference. I'm not. I mean, more than reading, I do a lot of. I listen to lots of podcasts.
Hmm.
So for me, listening is I do more listening than actual reading.
Hmm.
Um, so I think there's a guy called Naval who I feel is fairly good.
Yeah. What's
Yeah,
his name? Noah?
yeah, Johan. I'm trying to get his
Yeah.
name. Yeah,
Something like that, right?
yeah,
Yeah. 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 Talks about life and philosophies and all of that. Um,
yeah.
what are your
I
goals
can't
or,
get his.
sorry, go ahead.
Yuval Noah Harari.
Harari, right, correct. What are your goals or aspirations for the future, both personally as well as professionally?
So professionally, obviously, we have very ambitious goals, and you want to grow your business, you want to make it do it better, you want it to be larger, all those other kind of things. Um, Personal goals are fairly simple. You you want to be a good parent, you want to be a good husband, you want to take care of your kids well, you want them to do well. So I think it's simple. It's not that complicated.
Right. In most problematic situations, would you make your decisions and find solutions based on black, white, or gray areas?
I think most things are gray.
Hmm.
Okay, there's very little black and white, and yeah, I think I mean my answer is gray. Okay, there's always two sides or multi sides to every story, and you have to wade through all of that.
Right.
Okay, or ignore all of it.
Hmm.
Uh, as in the BIS case, what I have chosen is that I don't know which side, and there's just too many stories and too many sides. So just ignore all of it and carry on.
Right. Do you think morality is that way too? I mean, the right and wrong is that way too, or is it just the situation?
Good question. I think large parts of morality are like that. There's some black and white, okay, but there is a large part of morality which is gray and which is also perspective, which is from whose perspective are you looking at it. Um, there's another famous saying which is you're always a villain in someone's story.
Hmm.
Okay, so like I'm sure like I'm a villain in many people's stories. I'm sure I'm a hero in many people's stories also, and I'm sure I'm a hero and villain in my own stories.
Very philosophical. Have you done any voluntary work? And what are your reasons for volunteering?
Actually, no, I've done very little volunteer work. Okay,
Okay.
I think I've never had much. I've given lots of money for volunteering, but I've not done any volunteering myself. Hello, sorry.
Yes, not a problem. Sorry, you were telling me that you've contributed a lot. Would you please continue from there on?
Yeah, I mean, but my whole. I think I don't know if I think I'm the best suited person to do volunteer work. Okay, I don't know if I have enough um, a big enough heart, and
Hmm.
I don't know. So I'm willing to do lots of contribution to lots of work, to lots of causes, but I don't know if I have it in me to do it myself. So that's the way I am.
That's very honest. I think a lot of people don't realize what it takes to volunteer. And I know what you mean. When I see
Yeah,
some people who've dedicated their lives to causes, I'm in absolute awe of them
yeah.
because
I
I
mean,
know I don't have it in me to do that. Just give it all up and just serve and do such an excellent job of it and be happy doing just that for the rest of their lives. So that's a very honest
I
thing to
mean,
say.
completely agree. I'm in complete awe of these people. I was actually in complete awe of people of the. It changes, right? But I was in complete awe of people who take part in BIS board because it's like completely voluntary. And I would say, why would people want to do this?
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
Yeah, and then like you end up okay. In this case, I'm saying I'll do it myself. Your views change, but yeah, I think people who give up, who dedicate their lives to others, I have complete respect for them because I don't think I have that ability.
Absolutely. Having said that, do you believe that all of us, while we are making money and we're pursuing wealth, nothing wrong with that as long as you do it the right way, do you think we all have a responsibility to give back? Not just, in terms of money, but do you think, one, money for sure, but do you also think we need to give back in some significant ways?
I think each one can contribute in the way they want to contribute. Okay, so
Right.
some people can contribute time, some people can contribute money, some people can contribute whatever else they would like to contribute. Okay,
Mm.
I don't think there's any sense of saying only if you struggle and you give so much up and you give so much time that is a valuable contribution. I don't look at it like that. I think different people can contribute in different ways. Similarly to what I think, like in the school, I don't think one board can run everything. I
Right.
think different people have different things to contribute to the school. Okay.
Mm.
And even like the way we run our own schools, there are different committees. You can't say one person can run everything, right? Like you can have a security committee, you can have a food committee, you can have a transport committee, and each person brings what they're good at that. So that is my view.
Right. One more thing before we move on to the next question. What I was trying to ask you is, I think there is an awareness perhaps in people of our generation that we need to give back, especially after you reach a certain point in your life where you've kind of achieved maybe a lot of your career goals or most of your career goals. So do you think that is kind of incumbent upon all of us in whatever shape or form we give back?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think especially in a country like ours, I think with the wealth gaps are so large, I think it is onerous on the people who have the wealth to um, give back in some way. Okay. Now, I don't think anyone can say there is the right percentage, like you have to give this percent, you have to do that percent, you're so rich, you have to do this. I don't think that's true. That's dependent on each person and each person's level of security.
Right.
Okay. To have to give back, I think, is important. To have to look at saying that, we've all achieved something because of certain things which went well with us. We was lucky in certain positions. We did well because of certain reasons. Other people were not so lucky. Okay, and you cannot discard the fact that, I mean, not everything is only because of hard work, and hard work obviously is the base at which you work on. But there are some other factors which have played together in your success, which have not played in other people's success. You need to find a way to give back.
Right. Absolutely. Splendid. Last two questions. Are there any hobbies or interests that you are passionate about?
Yeah, I think for me, squash is a big hobby. I think I took two hobbies. One is mental, one is physical. So squash is my biggest physical hobby, and chess is my mental hobby. So yeah, that's what I love doing.
Very, very different and on very different spectrums. Interesting. Last question. What do you like to do for fun?
What do I like to do for fun? Actually, I think I play squash for fun. I play chess for fun. And I love watching movies. I love, even if they're stupid movies, I want to watch them. I love going to the theater. So those are, and I think I like spending time with my kids.
Jay, before we wrap up, is there anything that you would like to say to the BIS parents at large?
Yeah, I mean, like, forget all this, whatever sites and OB2 and OB3 and OB5 and IB7 or whatever it is. And, just like, instead of looking backward, let's look forward. And, you can keep going back and keep trying to revisit and keep trying to justify anybody's actions. But like ultimately, you want a forward-looking board and a forward future that looks better. So yeah, I think we should forget about that. We should forget about the past and look to the future. The second thing is that from a personal perspective, just to reiterate that, like, I have zero interest in supplying anything to BIS, giving any services to BIS on a paid basis or anything like that, or buying BIS or any of that. So just to be clear on that, like, there's nothing. I have zero interest in that. I only hope to set something up which, I mean, if it's done in a year, it's done in a year. If it's done in two, I think it will be a failure if it takes so long to get stuff done. But hopefully done in a year and then move on to being like just a parent. Yeah, like that's the objective.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jay. Thank you for taking this interview in two parts, in between calls and all of that. So thank you very, very much. I wish you all the very best, and I hope that you get into the board and actually clean up this mess. So see you on the other side of the AGM, and hopefully we'll be, cleaning up.
If it happens, it
will happen at some point, I'm sure. And let's get this done. All the very best. Thank you once again.